Good. Sorry we were a little late. I thought I was going to be able to sign on my phone, but it's not liking me.
Oh, really? Yeah, so Enrique's already there. He's just waiting for me to give him the thumbs up.
Okay.
So I sent you the video, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Did you have any questions about the video? Hi.
So I got to watch about 60% of it or so, but Steve watched the other 100%.
Okay. So what we're gonna do here is when Enrique comes in, let's say we're doing nothing with Cashew, what do we expect to see?
He will probably try and follow me to the door to let him in.
Okay.
And once she hears like his voice or something, I would expect she'll be like very curious. And then once she realizes it's not somebody she knows, I would expect that she's gonna like bark and growl and kind of like back up as he enters the apartment.
Okay.
And just kind of like bark at him until he like sits down and lets her like explore and like calm down.
Okay.
He's gonna knock, correct?
Yeah. So we're gonna. So we want to make sure that he knocks and rings the doorbell because that's what's gonna be the worst.
Yep.
Okay.
So we don't have a doorbell, but
he knocks,
but
go crazy,
yeah,
like start barking.
When the knock occurs, she's gonna start barking, and then follow Lauren to the door and be right behind her, and then once the door is opened, she'll likely react that it's someone that she doesn't know, and then be very uncertain in terms of walking in. So
so what we're gonna do? You want to see how she would do if Enrique just knocked and you let him in without doing anything, or do you want to just start going right into the exercise?
I think would be best.
I mean, doesn't matter. I mean, do you think it makes a difference to you? Because obviously, like quarantine, we've only had like a couple people over, one of which like has been a couple of times, and like she's gotten to know him. So like anybody else, I don't know that there's been anybody new here in a very long time. So I would just anticipate the same. But
the benefit to it is just that you see just where is she at, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of dogs,
like, where's the worst?
Yeah, like is it going to be just all bark, just like what you said, and she backs away and then she eventually settles, or is there going to be any kind of intent? Okay.
Yeah.
Because like let's say there was intent. Because like I had another case that I work with, and I couldn't evaluate the dog because of COVID, and that dog actually ended up being really bad.
Yeah.
Okay, completely like just didn't expect it, and then Enrique did quite a few sessions with that guy. So it allows you to just see, so it at least takes off one kind of thought of like, would she do it?
Right.
Because
I mean,
nothing's going to happen.
I'm down to try since he's got the whole suit. From what I talked to Maria, and she was like, "He'll just come in the suit just to be safe."
Sure. Okay. So we'll do that first. Where he'll just knock. He'll come in. Don't worry about the e-collar or anything. Like you'll have it on, have her with the leash dragging, but he'll just walk around, and then we'll see if she tries anything. And regardless if she does or doesn't, it'll kind of give us an idea. And then he'll step out, and then we'll start with the exercise again. Okay.
Okay.
And then should one of us go to the door? Should both of us? Should I be standing up?
Yeah, we'll treat it as if like you were to be having a guest coming over. Okay. So you'll do anything you would normally do, except we're not going to use the e-collar to correct her, and we're not going to like hold her back or anything. We're going to let her be free to make decisions. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know if Enrique, so our front door is just like, you can see it there. It's the black one as opposed to like the vestibule that's right next to us. So I don't want him to get the wrong door. It's not actually like marked, but it has
It's gonna be the black
Yale.
door.
It's a black door, and it does have a Yale lock on it, which the other ones on the street do not. So you should be able to tell which one it is.
Black door with a Yale.
Yeah, it's like the Yale Nest lock, like a little keypad.
Okay, Yale Nest lock. So I'm going to tell them to start getting ready.
A welcome mat on the front.
And a welcome mat?
Yeah, there's like a brown welcome mat.
Okay, so he's going to start getting ready. Once we do this initial little run through, let me actually tell him that you're not going to back her off. Back her off. Technology now.
I know, right?
Not going to back her off. We're going to see what she does. Okay. So once we do the initial run through to see what Cashew is about, main thing is once we start the process, he's going to wait a couple of minutes. He's going to knock again. You walk towards the door. She might follow or charge the door herself. We're going to start at her obedience number, and then you would let's say it's 40. You're going to stand just behind Cashew and tap her on 40, and we're going to see if she starts to back away from the door. Okay. If she doesn't back away, you're going to keep increasing, 45, 50, 55, until we reach a number that she starts to back away. Once she backs away, you're then going to cut in front of her and take that space so you'll be facing her. So your back will be to the door, the front of your body will be facing Cashew. Okay. You're then going to continue tapping and moving into her to back her away from the front door. Okay. Now, do we have an area that we are going to designate as the threshold for Cashew?
So you can kind of see our front door there. There's a change. There's tile and then there's wood.
Yep.
But then also right behind me is our desk, and actually she's just hanging out on her bed right now.
Okay.
So I think there's plenty of space. I would say there's 6 to 8 feet between the door and the wood part, as a true physical threshold.
Sure.
Versus I don't know if you think we should have her back further,
yeah. So
almost
she's
at her bed.
She's most likely going to run to her bed. Okay. So what I would suggest is actually we remove the bed and just put it away, because I don't want her to think it's the bed. Okay.
Yeah.
And I would make the threshold where that little desk next to her bed ends. Okay. So this way it creates about another, it looks like 8 feet maybe.
Yeah, probably another 10 feet or so actually. So
yeah, so that'll
almost 20 feet from the door.
Yeah, so that edge of that desk will mark the threshold. So I don't care what she does as long as she's past that threshold. Okay. Because if you send her somewhere or she thinks to go to her bed, it becomes too restrictive. And we want her to just learn to calm down. So she learns to coexist within the context of the guest. Okay?
Cool.
So once you see Cashew turn away from you and begin to move towards the threshold, you can stop pursuing and stop tapping. You would then turn to go to the door, right? Before you open it, you would take a look to see what she does, because sometimes the dog will try to follow. If she tries to follow, you would turn around, back her up with tapping, past the threshold again. Go back to the door. Did she follow? If she's good, you're going to go then to touch the handle, crack open the door. If she gets up to move in, you close the door. Sorry, Enrique. Start tapping, walking towards them, and we keep repeating that. And essentially, when you open the door and Enrique comes in, as long as she's behind the threshold, okay, we don't need to do anything. Okay. So we're just teaching her that you're essentially being territorial back and telling her to back off, that there's nothing for her to be worked up about, okay? And as we start the process, it'll make more sense. But that's just so you have a general kind of run through, okay? And I'll coach you through it. Any questions?
Do you have this one recording for future reference by chance?
Yeah, I have it recording to my computer because Zoom only records the talking screen. So I have to record it on my phone. And actually, I'll record on the Zoom just so that I don't lose audio, because that can happen. So we'll have that, okay? And I have others too. I just haven't put them up yet because I have to piece them together. So I have 8 other of these videos to kind of go over.
Did he?
He's saying
I
buzzing.
Think he just went into the vestibule.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought he was Amazon. But we'll move her bed quick, and so where he's at, if he comes out and goes right, and there's a patio, and then another patio, and our door.
Okay.
So he went to
Come
the
out,
vestibule.
go right, and pass the door, then another door, right?
Yeah. If you want, I can give him a wave from the window while Steve's moving the bed.
Sure.
Just toss it off the couch or something, maybe.
All right.
All right, now we're ready.
Alrighty. Did you trap her, Enrique?
Yeah.
What did she do? Yeah. Did she try anything, Enrique?
So I trapped her, and then she tried to fight, but she didn't make contact.
Okay. Go ahead and touch again.
There's no tension on the leash.
All right, good. So go ahead and step out. I'm going to shoot you a text once we're ready for you to knock, okay?
Okay.
All right, cool. Thanks. Go ahead and turn your back. There we go. All right. So she clearly likes him.
Yeah, she loves him.
So right there, that tells you.
Did she pee or did she?
Yeah.
Either peed or she just was barking so hard that she.
Oh, does she fully?
Yeah.
Does she completely relieve herself, or does she just like a little?
Just a little bit.
Partially, yeah.
Does it smell?
We took her out to pee in the last hour, and like in the past when we've had other people come, she excitedly pees.
Okay.
As in, like when people come in,
Sure.
she pees like in the atrium, but she's not obviously this aggressive, intense.
Sure.
Because it's friendly, but obviously that spooks her.
She's obviously like super, like her pee smells like.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a difference.
Oh, you know what? Then she may have expressed her anal glands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it smells.
Yeah. So if you want to do a quick wipe, you know, it's fine. So.
Yeah, she's never done that before, but.
Because what happens is she triggers, her stress levels are up here, and Enrique keeps moving in.
Yep.
That's where we're expecting to see the worst. Okay. So then once he made contact with her, he said that she did like a quick little like stay away, but really it's not in her. Okay. So that kind of gives you an idea.
Put on a show like you told us that she's a bully.
And that's most cases. Most cases are exactly that. Okay. It's very rare that we get a dog that will actually move in and actually attack. Yeah. So that gives you that piece of information. Yeah. What we're going to do now, again, is to settle her, and then we'll begin to push more of the touch, but she should be at a much lower intensity. Okay. Yeah. So who's going to do the first, or the first batch of like the door exercise?
I can do it.
Okay. And then what's your number currently?
Right now we're at 42, and that's where we've more so been finding ourselves on walks. I think you said that you got a little bit higher today.
I got up to 60 today because I tried more busy streets. So, better chance for a reaction, and she wasn't being super reactive. But I would say on average, I'm actually closer to like low 50s.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and text Enrique to knock. Don't feel like you have to be rushed. Don't feel like you have to move very quickly. You're going to take your time here, okay? As we repeat this exercise and repeat it going forward, it's going to become more straightforward and direct. Expect to see a bit of confusion from her in the beginning because now we're using it to move her away from us, okay? Yeah. So when you walk into Cashew and you're tapping, if you see that she kind of plants herself, you'll just slowly but surely kind of keep pushing into her with your body until you'll feel her kind of get up and move back. Okay? Yeah. So I'm going to go and text them now.
So this is, I'm going to go get myself between her and the door and give her taps, and then start pushing her back with the tapping. If
Correct.
she's not.
And you're going to tap her from behind first to back her away, and then you're going to step in to intercept her and push her back.
Got it. Just turning my volume up for you.
Okay. So go ahead and walk about up to where the little atrium area is, right? About there. Now hold. Tap. Tap. Now cut in front of her. Face. Yep. Now tap. Step in. Tap. Tap. Is she behind the line?
Yes.
Yep.
So now she's kind of like underneath where the laptop is, basically.
Okay. And then let me have both of you be on the other side of the threshold now. Yeah. So this way she doesn't try to use one of you as like
I'm holding next to you because you're safe.
Yeah. So now go ahead and turn away from her. And you're gonna walk towards the door. Now, is she standing or sitting at the moment?
Standing.
How does she look alert or does she look passive?
Alert.
Okay, so go ahead and turn back towards her again. And tap. And hold right there. Just tap.
Now she's walking up
Now she's walking towards us.
Okay, now move into her. Tap. Tap. Hold right there.
Now she just sat down.
Now she's a little more passive.
Okay, so now go back to your door. Okay, and then turn to look at her. How does she look?
She's aware, but she's not as like aggressively stanced.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's more
She's watching me.
suspicious versus aggressive.
Okay, so now go ahead and you're gonna just grab the handle and you're gonna like move it up and down. Okay. Now, tap and move towards her. Tap. Hold right there. Tap. Good. What is she doing now?
Standing again, but
Standing alertly.
she moved it back.
Okay. So keep where you're at. Bump your collar to 48. And tap. What is she doing now?
Now she's coming up.
She's coming back towards us again.
Okay, so then move into her. Tap. 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 Good. Hold right there. What's she doing now?
Now she's sat down and is like
Okay.
ready to be obedient.
Attentively sitting, yeah.
Okay, now you're gonna back away. You're gonna go back to the door again. Okay, and you're gonna repeat the exercise with just the handle. No sounds.
Nothing.
Okay, now what you're gonna do is you're gonna just crack the door open like 4 to 6 inches. If she moves forward, you're gonna close it, start tapping, and walk to her.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Go in and close it. Okay, and then you're gonna fiddle with it and you're gonna open it again.
She had one little chuff, but
one little
she's
chuff.
staying sitting.
Okay, now go ahead and pop it open. She's still the same?
Still sitting. She's
Okay.
like alert, but sitting.
Okay, so now you're gonna go to slowly open it, and if you notice any forward motion, close the door, tap, and walk to her. Okay, so close, tap, and walk to her. Tap, yep, hold right there, tap, tap, good.
Yep,
What's she doing now?
Sat and licked her lips.
Okay, back to the door. And you repeat that same little exercise you just did. Go ahead and open. Close.
Now she like ran out of her safe space.
Okay, so you're gonna close and stay where you're at, and then just push in, tap, tap,
Now
tap.
she went around our couch. Should I push her back around this way or bring her around?
As long as she's past the line, tap. That's fine. So imagine that line goes across the entire room.
Okay.
Yep. There you go. Good. And now what's she doing?
She's thinking about going this way around again. Because we have a big sectional over here
Sure.
that she can go like around to get back to the door.
Is she standing still?
She's just standing and like looking away from us.
Standing,
Okay,
looking
let's
away,
go to-
trying to sneak around.
Now she's like, yeah, back in the kitchen, which is right behind the laptop, coming back around and sniffing.
Okay. Let's go to 54.
Okay.
And then just keep where you're at and just give a tap. What you do.
Now she's walking around the other
Okay.
side of the
Now you're
couch.
going to counter her and come around the other way, and you're going to tap her going back in that direction.
Now she's up on the couch, but
It's okay.
all right. So now she's back to like, well, she keeps wanting to go back over here.
It's okay. Take your time. And every time you're trying to flush her, be sure that you're tapping.
So if she jumps up on the couch, should I just like pull her down and then do the tapping stuff again?
What you would do is grab your leash, start
Yeah.
tapping, and then as you're tapping, pull her off.
Okay. So now she's behind the threshold, but just on the other side of the apartment.
Yeah, that's fine. Just as
Okay.
long as she's behind that line, she's good.
Okay.
Okay, then we'll return back to the door.
Yeah. And now every time I turn around, she's kind of redirecting herself further away, but
Okay. Now stand there, don't move, and just tap. What you do.
now she's back around the other side.
It's okay. Tap, tap, back her back. Yep, tap. And just hold where you are, tap. What you do.
She's in the corner of the apartment and she barked a couple times.
Okay, we're gonna ignore that for now. Go ahead and open. Yep. Tap, 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 tap.
So she's kind of back to her original position, but still standing.
All right, so give a tap here.
She's yawning and like her mouth is open. Well, and now she's wanting to go back on the couch.
Okay, take your time.
Okay. So she's behind the threshold.
You
Now
know,
she's kind of going in the
the kitchen.
kitchen to like hide away.
Fine. We're at 54.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and go to 60. And then repeat back to the door.
Now she's backing away now that I open the door. I
Okay.
haven't tapped or anything, but now she's just doing her couch thing again.
Tap, tap. Good. Let's go ahead and go to 68.
Okay.
And repeat. Yep, tap, tap, tap.
Now she's like in the opposite corner of our apartment behind the threshold again.
Yep, that's fine.
Now she's standing there. Chucks.
Now, does she move or just bark?
Small bark.
Just a, ooh.
Small bark, and then she keeps retreating, and now she's sitting in the furthest possible corner of the apartment. So she's starting to.
We're going to ignore those barks as long as she doesn't move forward.
Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead and back to the door. And then go ahead and just talk to Enrique. Hi, how are you?
Okay.
How are you? She's staying where she's at.
Okay.
Now she's moving forward, but she's still behind the threshold.
Yeah, I'm still behind the threshold.
So now tap. A moment. Okay. Now Enrique, step in. Okay, now go ahead and close behind Enrique. And what you're going to do is you're going to stand in front of Enrique so that your back is to him and you're facing Cashew.
Facing Cashew, okay.
Like that, okay? So what you're doing here is you're claiming, one, the door, but then when your guest comes in, you would then claim your guest by positioning yourself this way.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's what she does, right?
Yep.
Like if left with the leash and someone were to confront, she'd place herself in front of you and bark at that person because she's claiming you.
Yep.
So all that barking is her nervous response. And there's no right or wrong here. We can either always remote her until she settles and just keep repeating until she maintains a relaxed state through each step, or we kind of jumped ahead a bit so you can see what the next part of it looks like, where you opened it, you greeted Enrique, the energy went up, so her nervousness goes up.
Right.
Normal. But she didn't move forward, like she didn't break the threshold, but you gave a tap to still just settle that last little bit, right? Then Enrique comes in, and I think was that just her right now?
Yeah, she's still sitting and she's panting back in the corner, but just like letting out little chucks with her ears down.
Yeah, she's in the furthest corner, the furthest away that she could be.
Yes. So what she's doing here is she's going, this is completely new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because her instinct is telling her to charge the door.
Yep.
And you're countering her and telling her, we know someone's here, you got to chill out.
Yep.
Okay. So the reason the threshold is important is if you send her to like the dog bed, it's not the same. With her directing to the dog bed, she cannot move because she's stationary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With the threshold, it's I don't care what you do, just don't be a brat.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of like I tell people, it's like the equivalent of sending a kid to their room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like growing up, if my mom was having friends over, she's like, Jesse, I don't want you to embarrass me. Go to your room.
Yeah.
So I could do whatever I wanted, play video games, read a book, do homework, whatever. I just couldn't step out of the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and this is the first half of the exercise is just her learning that she doesn't have to be at the door being territorial, that a guest can come in and she can be, for the most part, passive. Okay.
Yeah.
So as you repeat this, the idea here would be is that she either settles faster or you're able to start eventually over time completely shut her down.
Yeah.
Okay. So that she's not having that residual barking that we saw when you like greeted him and then when he entered and stuff.
Right.
Like the huffing that's happening now.
Having a couple little light chucks under her breath right now.
Yeah.
Almost as if she's a little frustrated, but I noticed that as she's sitting against the wall. So like completely back, and we never see her do that. So.
But she's going, okay, I want nothing to do with this context.
Yeah.
So here, Enrique, go ahead and move forward. There. Is she still in the corner?
Still sitting in the corner.
She hasn't moved. She's just locked in on him and growling and barking.
Enrique, go ahead and tap. Yep, tap.
I think she's thinking about laying down, but
Okay. Good. And now back away. There we go. Okay. So with Enrique in the little atrium area, she got over it.
mhm.
Right? He moves into the space, it's heightened again.
Yeah.
So when you move into Cashew, you're putting counter pressure. Okay. So it's like with people, you know, let's say, you know, you're getting in an argument. What do? We come in closer.
Mhm.
Right? So what you're doing is she's disagreeing with Enrique coming in into the space and disagreeing with her disagreeing.
Yep.
Okay. So when you move in, you're creating conflict, you're creating confrontation, and you're saying, I disagree with your behavior. And the e-collar is essentially correcting her to reinforce how you feel about it.
Yep.
Okay? So then when she gives you what you want, then you move back to release pressure. Okay. So that's why you kept moving in and then moving away.
Yeah.
Okay. So every time she moved forward, you move forward to confront her and say, nope, you're not going to do that, until she would retreat. Okay. So ideally, we don't move forward with the next step with the guest until she's retreated.
Mhm.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Enrique, I'm going to have you turn around and walk out. She's going to probably trigger again. We're going to ignore her.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead and walk out, Enrique.
Stay in put right now.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to walk over to Cashew and pet her, and then like grab her leash and like walk her into like another room and then walk back to reset her. Okay.
Okay. You? Hang on, I'm spraying this. It's so soft.
I know, right? That was a pretty sticky one.
I'll get kittens going after.
Yeah.
We're gonna learn. Okay? We're gonna learn. We're gonna learn this.
All right.
Now, do you want to try with the same person or do you want to swap handlers?
Yeah, I'll try.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and tell Enrique to knock. Okay. I'm going to have you, for the most part, do it without any instruction.
Okay.
If you get stuck, just give me a shout and then I'll advise you on what to do. Okay.
Keep it at 68.
Yeah, we're going to keep it higher to see if we can suppress that more quickly.
Okay. So I'm to walk over, face the door, and try the handle and see how she reacts. Oh, he's gonna
Yeah,
knock.
once you're going to go through that whole process again. Okay.
Okay, got it. Wait for the knock, right?
Yeah. I just texted him right now.
Okay.
She's like, what are you guys doing?
I just texted him.
Wrong, Enrique.
Can you? She scared him away. Can you peek to see? Hopefully, he didn't think I meant go home
Oh,
to see if he's friend.
yeah. Oh, no, I think I can see him outside. Oh, he was gonna have you go knock again.
All right.
Really get eye contact right now, Casey.
So she's hanging back there.
Yep, she's staying.
Go ahead and just walk to the door. Okay. Is she still hanging back?
Yep.
Okay, so what you're gonna do is let's go down to 48.
Okay.
And where you're standing, go ahead and just angle yourself so that you're facing Cashew.
Yep.
Yep, right there, and then just give a tap. What does she do?
She looked away really quick.
Okay, is she standing, sitting?
She's laying down.
She just laid down.
Okay.
But her ears locked up.
Sorry?
She's just alert, but she's laying down.
Okay. Now go to the process of the door.
The jiggle the handle.
Okay.
And then like 4 inches.
Yep.
And then all the way open.
Okay.
She's still laying down, just giving a couple grumbles that you can hear.
Okay. Go ahead and have Enrique step in.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Welcome.
Okay. And then here, go ahead and face and tap.
No, like that.
What's
She's like further away from him, but still be in the same spot and looking away.
Yeah, she's looking away.
Okay. Enrique, go ahead and step into the space a little bit. Right there. Good. And then go ahead, you can back off here, okay? Or is she still grumbling there?
She's grumbling a little bit.
Does she stop now or is she still grumbling?
Still just a low grumble, but she's sitting kind of sideways, lazy style.
Okay. The next time she grumbles, I'm going to have you turn to her and then tap and see what happens, okay? So, are you seeing how this is working?
Yep.
Right. So, her brain, because she's a nervous dog, this is not intentional, okay? Something happens and her brain makes a decision. That's how dogs work.
Mm-hmm.
So every time she makes a decision you don't want or you disagree with, you're countering her by facing her and tapping her. Okay. So you don't have to be exactly in her face in order to have this communication. You just have to be pointed or directed to her. Okay. So, like, let's say you're at the door and you turn your back and she barks. You can simply just turn around, but still stay at the door as long as you're facing her and you give a tap.
Okay.
Okay. So it's kind of like growing up. Like if I was doing something I shouldn't be doing and my mom would give me a look, you know, she could look at me from across the kitchen and I was in the living room. And like I knew like I should stop what I'm doing. Right.
Yeah.
It's similar, except now you have the e-collar to bridge that gap.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So anytime she would move forward, the purpose of you moving into her was to teach her that she should never move forward. She should back away.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we keep repeating this, you're going to see that it's going to start getting easier and easier. And she's going to start learning that the tap doesn't mean to move forward. It means to retreat. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, each time we've done this, you see how she's progressively gotten calmer.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you practice this exercise, ideally, it should get easier and easier. So obviously the first one was hard, right? And then now that you've got that in her brain and she has a concept. That's why she didn't charge the second time.
Mhm.
Right now, let's say fast forward 2 days and Amazon rings the doorbell, expect her to charge.
Yeah,
Right?
sure.
And that's normal. But now, when you confront her, you would get to this point faster.
Yeah.
Okay. So her charging the door or that territorial behavior is not going to go away.
Yeah.
Okay. Because she doesn't know that, it's Enrique coming at 4:30 or it's Amazon just dropping off a package. For her, these are all different contexts, right? And she's just perceiving threat and doing her job of like, hey, intruder alert. And then what you're doing in response is going, yeah, we know, thanks for letting us know, but you can chill out now.
Yeah.
So you technically, you keep your security, which security is healthy, it's good. So it keeps the bad guys away. But now you have also a means of control.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if we're, you mentioned earlier you've had like one guest who's come a couple of times and she's warmed up to that guest, correct?
Yeah. And
now she's best friends.
familiar it's completely fine. Again, it's the only thing is she is by the door and then she identifies that she knows someone and then kind of releases, and her release is she starts peeing with excitement.
Sure.
But the other note with that is we've had instances where they come, we sit on the couch, we're watching sports for an hour, and Cash is even laying there with us, almost falling asleep. And then someone gets up to go to the bathroom, and then she gets up and kind of growls or even starts barking.
Yeah.
We've never had any, biting incidents, but it's been a reactive, aggressive bark as if the person just arrived. So
that's classic nervous dog.
Yep.
Okay. So earlier when Enrique was in the atrium and she settled down, and then when he moved in, she growled.
Yeah.
That's nervousness.
Yep.
They trigger, and then when everything calms down, they calm down, and then something changes, and then they become nervous and they bark.
Yeah.
So this exercise would help calm that down, but then you would keep her on the collar, and like, let's say you're watching the game and somebody gets up and she barks, you would have to confront and tap her.
Yep.
And now you're conditioning the brain to not be responsive to that. Okay.
Yep.
And that takes time to condition, because now so then she start learning, if they move and I bark, I get tapped.
Yep.
And then you repeat that so many times that when they move, she's going to think about barking, but then not bark. Therefore, she does not get tapped.
Yeah.
And then her brain starts to counter itself.
Yep.
Okay. You doing good, Enrique?
Yep.
That seems like it'd be really warm.
Let me have you step out, and then I'm going to text you in a minute or so to knock again. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Good. And then that time was easier for him turning around and leaving.
Yeah.
I saw you confronted. It looked like you tapped, but her energy was right. So when it comes to practicing this, because obviously with COVID and stuff, probably not having a ton of people come over,
Right.
is you can practice with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like, let's say one of you steps out to run a quick errand. Instead of just walking into the home, you would knock or whatever.
Act like we're not home.
Okay. Now, it's most likely going to be more difficult because Cashew knows and loves you. Okay. Yeah. And it doesn't matter that it's someone she knows. What matters is that you're reinforcing the threshold.
Yeah.
Anything is actually more difficult. Okay. For her to stay behind the threshold when her favorite person walks in through the door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you can get her to do that with you guys, it makes working with your guests even easier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, once you feel like you've mastered or she's mastered the concept, you don't have to continue practicing with each other. You just apply it as you need it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to like maybe someone is knocking on your door and you don't know who they are and it's not Amazon or whatever, and you want to keep your security, then you don't back her away.
Yeah.
You just open the door.
Because we are, first level apartment, so don't mind some of it.
have her there, and then it's like, oh, I'm so and so with so and so and this or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't know. 1 second. Then you back her off.
Okay.
So you only do this when you need to.
Yep.
Yep.
If she's doing something and you don't have a problem with it, then you leave it alone.
Okay.
But definitely when you're going to have a guest that's going to actively enter in your home, you're going to be doing this exercise.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Questions so far?
I mean, just overall in terms of our normal kind of way of doing things, when we are approaching the door and not opening it, we're always facing the door. We're never turning back. And like, I mean, we're checking on Cashew, but we're not like opening the door like this, right? We're opening the door and facing the guest so we can greet them, right?
Correct. And the other reason is if you stay facing Cashew as you open the door, she stays back. She's most likely staying back because you're facing her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's confrontation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I remember from the other video. Because that's the other thing is when people are talking on the street or you see to the right, that's our window that we always keep closed. When people walk by, she reacts and barks at them. So that's usually close those curtains.
Sure. So like,
can we do the same exercise in that sense?
I'm sorry?
Would we be able to work that in from a trainer out of it, similar to that of like the couch in terms of confronting her and buzzing her?
So in that sense, because there's no one actively coming in, it's just barking out the window.
Yeah.
You can actually just correct her with the e-collar. And you can do something like, quiet or no bark.
Because we've been trying the no and bonker, and we've been throwing the chow down.
Okay. And has that worked at deterring her at all?
Yes, because she knows what it is. Because I work from home, so when I have it open and I've seen her react, I've grabbed the towel and she's instantly calmed down.
Okay. Now, when you've thrown the towel, is it at Cashew or at the ground?
It's at the ground.
Okay. So what I would do is I would alter that a little bit.
Yeah.
And let's say barking out the window, you can either eliminate it where we don't do it at all, or you can control it.
Okay.
Whichever you choose doesn't matter to me.
Everything okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right. So, sorry. What were you saying?
Yeah. So then what I would do is if, like, let's say you don't want her to bark out the window, period.
Yep.
I would just bonk her and have no warning.
Okay.
Or you ask them
to learn, like, oh, if I bark out the window, there's a consequence with no warning.
Yep.
Because technically, if you say no, then correct her. She can bark until you say no.
Correct, and that's what she does, and she knows, and she's starting to get in that rhythm. So I want to learn how to break that routine.
Correct. Yeah. So I would just correct her, like, bonk her, but then also remove the no word, and just it's an automatic correction.
Okay.
And let's say she sees you picking up the bonker and she stops and walks away, you still correct her.
Okay.
Okay. Because she's going to think she can avoid it, so she'll bark and then walk away.
Yep.
And you're going to get that game. So even if she barks and you pick up the bonker and she walks away, you would still correct her.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Questions?
I'm sure I'll get the recap from them on that.
Yeah.
But it was a couple cops. Somebody called because they were like, some homeless looking guy is like coming into the apartment and hovering outside. So then the one police officer is talking to him, and then two more show up, and I'm like, we're fine. But they were interested in Cashew. They were like, what's she like?
Oh, that's funny. I'm going to text Enrique to knock one more time, okay?
Okay. And you've got their remote.
Yep.
Oh, yep.
I'll tell them to leave the police outside.
Funny. Have you ever had anybody get called?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not the first time. So.
Okay. It is kind of a funny.
But I wasn't wearing the suit. I just looked like a bum.
Yeah. Yeah, I realized. should I tap when she's doing these barks, but she's staying in the same spot?
So here, as long as she doesn't look like she's going to move forward, you can ignore it.
Yeah, she's kind of looking away.
Yeah.
Go ahead and step in, Enrique.
So, that was where I was supposed to welcome you guys.
Good.
Yeah.
Now she's looking away.
Good. And then what I'll have you do, Enrique, is go ahead and come in, and then you're going to go into that area to your right, and you're going to just like kind of walk back and forth in that little space.
Yeah, it's a little tight with the jacket.
Oh, okay.
She's growling, but intermittently looking away.
Yeah. So we're going to ignore this for now. And then go ahead and cross back where you were, Enrique. Yep. Good. Yep. Step in if you need to. Good. Good. And then when she gives you what you want, you'll just step back, release some of that pressure. Good. And then try that again, Enrique. And then cross back. Go ahead and tap to settle her. Good. All right, you can head out, Enrique. I'm gonna give them their with the practice, okay?
Okay, cool.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Sorry about the cops.
Don't get arrested.
I know.
All right. So here.
I'm glad he texted you right away. Could you imagine if you're like, Enrique, knock. Come on, knock. Like, where are you? He's gone.
Yeah, it's not the first time it's happened to me before. So here with her level of nervousness, I'm not surprised with what we're seeing. Okay,
Yeah.
That's pretty standard stuff.
Yep.
So what I would suggest, for the next couple of weeks is, take every opportunity. If one of you leaves the home, don't just come in, knock, do all that stuff, and then practice with each other.
Yep.
Again, I know she's not going to behave the same with you, but it's more so just practicing the concept of calming her down, keeping her past the threshold, which would be difficult for people who are her family.
Right.
Okay?
She's going to want to rush us and say hello.
Yeah. And don't be surprised if you end up way up there in terms of the range. Okay. I would have you practice that if you're feeling really good about it, and like maybe you want to try practicing with that guest that she is familiar with and she does like.
Yeah.
As a next step, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to come back and revisit this, so the way I see this playing out for Cashew is, let's say it's a friend of yours that's going to come over on a somewhat regular basis. You would practice this exercise. So when Cashew is past the threshold, they would not interact.
Yeah.
Okay? Because they're in two separate spaces. So like when I was in my room, I couldn't say hello to the guest because the guest was in the living room, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is it's getting her used to that person being in the social space.
Yeah.
Okay? So even though they're not interacting, potentially after so many times of that person coming over, she'd be like, oh, you've been here 20 times and it's been fine.
Yeah.
As she opens up, it's just we're not going to get that big spiel as if we hadn't done anything. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you feel like she naturally just opens up to that person and stuff, then you can progress, no problem. Otherwise, if you feel like you get stuck and you're like, hey, like, she can calm down and stuff, but she just kind of stays grumbly and she doesn't, she's not showing any signs of curiosity, then we have to practice bringing her into the social space. Okay, and then I can send Enrique back, and then we would pick up where we left off.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Questions about this?
So I know, so definitely when we're planning to practice, we'll have her e-collar on, because I think that was something that we were like, do we need to have her wearing her e-collar all the time then? Because we are on the first level. So like for us to really do the like tap corrections, like say she doesn't have her e-collar on and like Amazon or somebody does come by and we're trying to like do the same sort of thing, but don't have the collar. I
Mhm.
still want to like claim space just minus the collar because I don't have it. Right?
Sure. Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So
could I
technically,
still
do this with
approach
like
her?
a bunker,
Okay.
because there has to be a physical, because the physical is what snaps her out of the territorial behavior.
Got it.
Okay. But if you're gonna like, let's say it's someone just like dropping off a package, you can actually just bump that. You don't have to even back her away.
Okay.
You only back her away when the guest or the person's gonna actively come in the home.
Okay.
If
Got
it's
it.
just like it's Amazon, there's no threat here, and you just want to deter the behavior, you would simply just bonk her for it.
I
Okay.
was gonna say, so like a kind of good example, they're not gonna enter the home, but like if we got DoorDash or something and somebody comes to the door, but like we're getting to the door, but I want her to stay back, obviously.
Correct.
So in that situation, like we would have her like what, like come over here and stay and like just have her go in a sit and stay position?
We
Or
wouldn't.
I'm sorry.
You would simply, we wouldn't use obedience. You know what you would do is, DoorDash comes, you go to the door, she's barking or growling, you would bonk her, and then move into her to claim that space. Okay, and then see what she does.
Okay.
Okay. So then, and then if the two of you are together, then you can like tag team, and one can be there immediately. So in case she growls again, they can just correct with the bonker.
Okay.
That's the bonker's okay there because the person's not going to come in.
Yeah.
If the person were to come in and you're using bonker, the concern is the correction with the bonker going to be adequate to override her discomfort with the person coming in?
Got it.
That's why
Okay.
e-collar is effective, because we went up to as high as like 68, right?
Hmm.
So, because all it is, hey, like we know like there's someone here at the door, just be quiet or chill out.
Yeah.
Okay. But we don't need her to really care about being calm for them, because they're not going to be entering. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So e-collar, definitely anytime your guest is going to come in, or when you're practicing with each other at this stage, or you can even practice with DoorDash and stuff, right? Once you
Right.
feel like you've mastered it, then you can start just applying it when you need it, and then using the bonker for the other stuff, right? So you're using as much opportunity, or every opportunity you can, to use the e-collar. Then once you feel like you hit a pretty good stride, then you use it only when you need it, and then you have the bonker just to like stop her from barking when like DoorDash comes or whatever.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's what I would do. And then once you feel like you're ready for the next step, or whatever, we can again set up with Enrique and have him come over, and then progress towards like coexistence.
Mhm.
But I'm kind of leaning towards, if you do this with a friend and that friend comes over on a somewhat regular basis, she would most likely open up to them just like she did with the other guest. It's
Mhm.
just going to take her longer before she does open up to them, right?
Right.
But at least you don't have a dog who's like lunging and barking and growling the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah. When I've definitely noticed the difference between men and women too. Like she warms up to women faster than men. Cause like a great example, like my mom was here, she warmed up to her, and I don't remember her like really going crazy at all when my mom would get up. But like my dad and my brother were here anytime either of them would get up. And that was like the second time she had met them. So they
Gotcha.
don't live close enough to like come over and like get her repetitions up, but anyone else, definitely to get her there would be a good test.
And this isn't like obedience. Obedience, you have to like practice and teach and stuff. This, once it's use it as you need it, because it's communication, it's body language, right? We didn't say stay, we didn't say sit, we didn't say down. And the reason why I was asking what's her position and what's her mental state, right, is I didn't care that she was sitting, obedience wise. It's just that sitting is a more relaxed position than standing in alert.
Yep.
Okay. So I don't want you to think that she always has to be sitting. So that's why we didn't say sit or stay or down or anything like that.
Yeah.
because I didn't care. I just wanted her to be relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more us reading her body language too.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, I just overall with the e-collar, should we work to establish a entering and exiting level versus an outside level, or should our training
Revolve around the
be one and the same? Does that question make sense? As in, like, if we're doing this exercise, should we try to establish the same level as this, as opposed to out on walks?
Oh, like, is it gonna change or like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As in, like, the inside is 60 versus the outside is 50 or something like that, or should we try to get 55?
Correct. You'll end up finding some kind of range.
Okay.
Where you'll think to yourself, maybe it's 80, and with 80, like, just everything stops. She's not grumbling, she's not growling, whatever. I didn't continue to push the barking because I wanted you to see the entire exercise.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I said, as long as she doesn't move forward, we can ignore the barking for now, unless it became too much. Then we would, of course, address her. Right.
Yeah.
But like, if you practice with each other and you want to be more strict and try to suppress it, that's why at some point I just was having you increase the number each time.
Okay.
Right. At some point I was like 48, 54, 60, 68. Right. We just went up each time she made the wrong decision. Because I was trying to see if we could find that number sooner.
Okay.
For the sake of time. But when you practice with her, you can practice it on your own. And with the nervous dog, you may or may not get a number that will actually squash everything.
Got it.
Okay? Because of the nervousness.
Yeah.
So then I just care about, well, if she's grumbling, does she resolve it and relax? And eventually that should just go off on its own.
Yeah, got it. Because I was telling her, and I was taking your advice from last week in terms of trying to find a complete shutdown level. And I could tell because we went out on like over a half-hour walk, middle of the day. And I could tell Cashew was kind of reactive, on edge. And then also I kept trying to do we did turning drills, and then I kept trying to do heel. And then she even did a thing where she would get stubborn with me and not want to go where I would go. So the second time I did it, I turned it up to 61, and it was like an instant, like, okay, let's do this. And then she was back at it. So I was able to turn it down, and she was like very on it. And that was like 62. That was like sort of the ultimate shutdown. Sure. And then like I ended up at like 51, which is sort of the average is where we've been at, where like it kind of works.
Yep. Yeah. So continue with that, and then if you find you keep going like the 60, then she's really good, and then you dip it back down, and it's back and forth. Chances are she's more in that range of 60 then.
Okay. Well, yeah, she yelped even with the 61 because I think she was surprised because she was in like the crouch position, like not moving, and she was already in heel. So I was like, she's breaking the heel, so I needed to do it. And she like yelped and instantly got by my side. So
yeah, and as long as everything's smooth sailing after that, and with the number you dipped it down to, you're good.
Okay.
So it's just more practice, repetition, more exposure.
Got it.
All that sounds about right.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Cool. All right, guys. I got another client to get.
Yes. Thank you for staying over.
If anything, you let us know. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.